Le démon sort de l'enfer pour faire le tour du monde. Le démon sort de l'enfer pour faire le tour du monde. Envoyé par Lucifer pour appuyer son monde. Envoyé par Lucifer pour appuyer son monde. Et dis-toi, mon petit boucher, ta viande est avariée. Ton boudin goûte rien que le sur, embarque dans ma voiture. Ton boudin goûte rien que le sur, embarque dans ma voiture. Le démon sort de l'enfer pour faire le tour du monde. Le démon sort de l'enfer pour faire le tour du monde. Envoyé par Lucifer pour...
Howdy, Mark. So, rainy Sunday here in Toronto, and we are zooming over to Quebec, and I don't even know how to pronounce the town where Claude Bolduc lives.
Yes.
Yeah. And today's going to be our...
Near Montreal. I think he mentioned that he lives close to Montreal or in that area.
We can ask him that. This will be also our first Winging It where we actually need a translator.
Yeah.
Claude's wife is going to... she's fully bilingual, so she will be nearby and help him translate. I believe he's mostly a francophone and understands English, but needs some help with details. So
sure, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and I've been following Claude for maybe a year or two on Facebook, and I absolutely love his work. Just so playful and I don't know what whimsical, erotic.
Yeah, vibrant forms and colors with interesting. I feel like there's some mythological themes underneath, some personal mythology and symbolism, and I'm curious to explore that today.
Yeah, so his bio on his website talks about I think he considers himself like a self-taught outsider artist.
Right.
And definitely interested in themes of mysticism and that dichotomy between physical world, spirit world, and all that. Right. And I see that they are in the waiting room. So here we go.
Okay.
Isabelle is his wife. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Bonjour.
Welcome, bienvenue. That's right. my French is not very good. You're our first artist we're interviewing who's not English speaking or primarily English speaking. So that's cool. We're breaking new ground.
It's my wife. She is my wife, Isabelle.
All right, Isabelle, you will translate or navigate us through this.
He's pretty good, but I'm there for a help, just in case he needs.
Absolutely. He just wants to show you off. He just wants to show you off.
That's it.
Mark, do you have any opening comments? No.
Hello, Mark.
Yes, hi. It's nice to meet you. We've been admiring your work. We've seen it mostly online, of course, but we are very charmed by your style, your forms, your color, and your content. And we were hoping today to talk to you a little bit about all of these. We understand that you identify as a self-taught artist. So you can you talk? Maybe we should start there. Tell us, how did you get into art? How did you start with the whole art process?
At the beginning, I began to paint in 1987, January. It was really the beginning. I started to paint. It was inside me since long time. Before to be a painter, I was musician. So
okay.
But just before 87, I stopped to make music since 2 years because I made music with my ex-wife of this time, and at the end we get to work together more. It's and during 2 years, I don't make art, and it was very difficult for me. Don't express in something.
Yeah.
And since long time, I was thinking about begin to paint. It was one of my goals.
It was there. It was sort of like looming in the background. It's kind of like
yes,
a ghost over your shoulder.
exactly. Since many years, maybe
Yeah.
10 or 15 years. It was the ghost of Halloween.
I don't know why I keep my picture keeps changing.
Yes.
So just want to clear. So did you do any training in drawing and painting, or it's all natural from you?
T'as eu d'entraînement aussi?
Oh, no. I began like that. At the beginning, I never paint before. But my first mentor and my main mentor, called Arthur Villeneuve, lived in the town where I'm from, in Chicoutimi, Quebec. And this man, he was old at this time, already old, and well known in Quebec, and he painted himself or his house and inside. That I was very impressed by this man since I was very young. In 5 years old, my father told me, "Oh, you paint like Arthur Villeneuve," and I thought in this time I thought.
Yes.
It's
all right.
I thought it was a compliment.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. My father told that to
make fun of you.
To make fun of me, yes. But I was really in admiration about Arthur Villeneuve. At this time, I was a letter carrier, a postman. And I deliver mail at his home.
Well, it's great to have someone, especially like living in your community, who is a model. I love that. I had something similar growing up in Ottawa, where there was a guy around the corner. Why does it? I don't know. I don't know why this keeps going off. Anyway, he just like lived around the corner. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. It was like, the early 1970s, and he would sit on his porch and he would draw these really wild psychedelic, nowadays it's like Peter Max or that kind of hippie dippy art, but it blew my mind. It was great. It was great to have seeing someone working. And did you ever actually see him working, or it was mostly you were aware? Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Not often, maybe 2 or 3 times. When his wife wasn't there, because his wife watched him all the time, and she didn't like when he talked with me or something or other people. But when her wife wasn't out, he told me,
he
with me home, and I had the chance to visit his studio and also see him one time to paint.
Amazing. Your work does, there's definitely, you recognize that it's outsider art or art brut, but I also see shades of Chagall, Marc Chagall, or Miro, people like that. Did you start looking at a lot of artists?
Yes, after a while, when I began to start, I didn't know nothing about art.
Yeah.
About 2 years after, because the
first 2 years.
Well, the first 2 years, I was really all the time to paint. I worked like postman during the day, and when home all the time I paint. During 2 years, it was a lot of.
So you kind of taught yourself, and you learned by doing it, which is really an amazing way to to do art. And in the 80s, I don't know if in Quebec it was the same, but a lot of places that kind of sort of a more naive art was really kind of part of the scene. But your work transcends, like it's, you know, I would not have guessed that you were self-taught. I mean, it's magnificent, you know, and it's fantastical, and it's so. But one of the things for sure is you know that it's coming from straight within you, that subconscious, just coming straight out of your subconscious.
Okay, but I can talk about you about that to you.
Yeah.
I told you in the first time during 2 first years, it was really an explosion of art, but I didn't have. Je veux dire, j'avais pas de technique.
No technique.
Well, no technique, and I didn't know how to paint, so I improvised all the time. After a while, I began to start to find books about great
Okay, yeah,
like Chagall, like Picasso, like all, and Jerome Bosch, Hieronymus Bosch impressed a lot.
yes. We're all big fans of Bosch.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I know I'm gonna ask Marc, because Marc, you're kind of self-taught artist, right?
I'm entirely self-taught.
Right. You didn't go to art college. I mean, your father was an art
That's
teacher,
right.
but in some ways, Marc is sort of the same as that. He just
Yes, I fully simpatico here, because yes, I was fully self-taught, and I also learned from the greats, looking at other artists and gradually working towards achieving what I saw, and then working on what I wanted to say personally, my personal expression, and finding a nice a meeting of the ways that way. I'm curious about your process in terms of, now I worked, when I first started painting, I had to have everything sketched out in a sketchbook before I could sit there and have the confidence to go onto the canvas. Do you work from sketches? Do you have ideas in your head before you approach the canvas, or do you just sort of let it flow? Do the ideas and the images and the forms just emerge on the canvas as you're working? Can you tell us a little bit about your process that way?
For my major paintings, all the time I write a scenario, if you want.
Oh,
And the first time I go for a walk. I think in my head, and after that I made a sort of scenario, and after that for the major painting, a lot of sketches, and after that I put it on the canvas. I keep all the time all the rest of the background of the canvas. I keep that for my
Improvisation.
For improvisation.
Yeah.
My head to really express my unconscious, and I found this way. I found this way to work in 1992. I was all the time looking for express the unconscious in my painting. It was a problem for me because all the time it was difficult to achieve that.
Yeah.
And I found the way to put the background at the first time in only one color. And
interesting. You're right.
Yeah.
By rubbing.
And in to rubbing, I draw the unconscious and rubbing. By rubbing.
You rubbed with your finger?
In this time it was with a paint, but now it was my finger.
Right. So the process was like sort of letting the images emerge by kind of teasing it out, like playing with it, and then it would come out. And it definitely, your work has that feeling. Like, you know, when I look at those, I know this is coming straight out of your subconscious. And the colors are very personal. They're unique. They're not, you know, a Renaissance color scheme, or, you know, Fauves or Cubist. It's just, you know, that it's coming directly from you. It's so unique.
Il veut que je parle des
Non,
couleurs.
il dit tes couleurs sont vraiment uniques.
Yes, I think, yeah. The colors are very important for me, autant que
As much
as the équilibre,
balance.
the balance of my composition, because with all the stuff I put in every painting, it's difficult to keep a balance to have a painting, tu sais, je veux dire que ce soit unique, qu'il y ait une entité.
Unified,
unified the balance. And the
composition. The composition. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Mara.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that they're beautifully balanced between, in terms of composition and color, your works. I was wondering if if I could ask you a few questions about the content now of the works, and in particular, some of the themes or motifs that you're working with. There does seem to be this balance, or maybe even a tension between there's some erotic content, but also some concerns that you might call ethical concerns. Sometimes there seems to be issues involving religion or religious themes and motifs. In other cases, there are issues of maybe power or inappropriate uses of power, abuses of power, things like that. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of the most important motifs or themes in your artwork, and how you're working through them as you go.
Okay. For the background, say in general, it's all the time a kind of struggle between Eros and Thanatos.
Oh, fascinating. Go on.
Eros represents the life, the struggle of the life all the time in our life. And Thanatos is also with the erotic characters. It's all the time a struggle between in the background all the time. But in the background also you can find very often the fantasies of me. Also the people, every dead people around me, all my friends, my family, and it's important to me to include them in my paintings, because I think they are still there. And I'm a believer. I'm a believer person, so it's important to me to all the time include that person in my painting.
That's a good lead into my next question, which is there a spiritual or mystical practice that you practice that influences or informs your work?
Est-ce que tu as une pratique religieuse?
Okay. Yes. Before the pandemic. I still go to the church and say, I have meetings with friends who share the same convictions of me, but I criticize hardly the Catholic Church, because it's my background. Say I'm from Catholic, but it's my experience for spiritual things. But I don't. Comment je dirais ça? Je n'endosse pas.
I don't sign it,
I don't sign it of all the dogma or
you don't agree.
But for me, it's a good vehicle.
It's a good way.
It's the better way to go for spiritual things because it's my background. See, my grandfather, maternal grandfather, was very Catholic. My mother too, but in the opposite, my grandfather,
my grandfather on my father's side.
Why on my father's side was exactly the le contraire.
Opposite.
Opposite. Was all the time in the forest to hunt.
Okay,
and he was in nearest of the autochthon way. So for the spiritual
First Nation, closer.
The First Nation way,
right.
for First Nation. So I am a kind of combination of two. And since the pandemic, because a new priest is in my town, I don't go anymore in church because I don't share his way of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I find I grew up Catholic too, and I find it's very rich with imagery and ritual. There really is a very mystical, sacred kind of practice.
And all la souffrance,
suffering.
All the suffering in this religion out to me because I'm like that. I see the world. All people are his own suffering. And it's all the time the first thing I see when I met a new person is suffering. The Catholic Church is very rich for that.
You're very sensitive to that. It sounds like you're very sensitive, and when you meet people, it's like you see and feel their whole life, their suffering and their struggles.
Well, it sounds like the pandemic, as it did for many of us, it was a transition point for you in terms of your attendance at church versus no longer attending at church, in terms of your personal feelings about how the church may or may not address human suffering. And it's affected a lot of us, many of us, if not all of us, in some way. Has that found its way into your art in such a way that has there been a turning point in your artwork since the beginning of the pandemic? Does your art reflect those new feelings and those new concerns that the pandemic has created for all of us?
I don't think no. I don't think,
okay.
No.
Maybe the art was a way to deal with that already.
Well,
yeah. One of the things I wanted to say is that I notice or I feel in your work a kind of pagan or animistic connection to like the animal world, the spirit world that's beyond dogma.
Les animaux sont au-delà du dogme, tout le bestiaire.
And pagan, like the pre-Christian kind of connection.
Yes, sure. My painting is very animist painting.
Yeah.
A lot. Often the object of every day can live in my painting. I think it's the part aboriginal part of me because
original. Yes.
When I talk about my grandfather.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was going to say there's sort of shamanic, aboriginal.
It's a mix. It's a mix. Yeah. It depends. But I'm very influenced by two sides. My mother, grandfather was a sculptor too.
He carved rock.
rock. Okay, yeah. Now your works in size, a lot of them seem to be small. Do do like big
Well,
paintings too, or?
the big, I don't have a lot of the big paintings. I have most of them en ce moment I made are 30 par 40, 30 by 40 inches.
Okay, it's a good size.
I have, but this one on side me,
Behind.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Oh,
smaller. It's a tarot,
Tarot cards.
tarot card.
No way.
I bought my love story with my wife.
Yeah. Did you create? I just published a deck of tarot cards that I created. Is that something that you're interested in tarot and sort of? Yeah, those are amazing. Wow.
Es-tu intéressé au tarot ou?
But I was interested. I made this tarot because my wife asked me for that. So I decided to make a tarot about our love story.
Amazing.
so it was a commissioned work.
So did you do a whole deck, or it's just like?
But it's a very special tarot because
that's
we
awesome.
have had a difficult story to be together, and I learned a lot about tarot because of that.
Yeah.
Read about that, and I made a book just here.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
every
Is that for sale? Can you
yes,
buy?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I want the link for that.
Yes, but it says in French, huh?
That's okay, but the pictures are in pictures are in English.
A friend of me, a very good friend of me, Paul Laurando, made the text, and it's a story, comment je dirais ça, fantastic story.
Yeah.
Avec des références
With references
to Genesis, to Lewis Carroll, and it's very, very nice story about that.
Yes, I see you made a couple books with him. Is that right?
Yeah,
There's also a book of poems that you worked on with him. He wrote the poetry, and you did the illustrations or images.
Les autres Paul Laurando. Il voit qu'il t'a fait d'autres livres avec Paul Laurando.
Okay, yes, I made two other books with him. The first one is this one.
Yes,
it's a book about me, and mes phases campaign.
Different stages of
about it, and creation, and
wow, that's amazing.
I received a subvention for that by
a grant.
A grant from Quebec.
Okay.
Quebec.
Okay.
And an erotic one too.
right. So that one there, it's poetry though, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And so your friend wrote the poems.
Yes.
And are they any relation to you?
He asked me to illustrate his book.
You illustrated in the poem.
This book was written since many years, and comment je veux dire qu'il l'avait jamais publié.
He had never published it before.
Ouais. And he asked me, "Do you want to illustrate that for me?" I said, "Okay, yes, I would." And with my own experience, also, I made the illustration for his book, for this book. But the text is in the first painting. My friend made poetry too, but
inspired by the paintings.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
And the second book, it was the
opposite.
The opposite. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'll be ordering those. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
We'll have to get one or two, at least definitely the tarot one, because it's something that's interested. My mother was a professional psychic and tarot reader, and recently I created my own deck, and so yeah, that's amazing. Do you have any shows coming up that we can tell people about?
Dans ce moment?
exposition.
No, no exhibit in this moment. It's very difficult. No, say I'm older. I don't have the taste now to make des choses qui servent à rien. Comment dire ça?
You don't feel like doing things that are not being
Ouais.
put effort into something that won't happen.
I exhibit only when it's a big thing. You know, when
Sure,
it's
of course, yeah.
like
It is a lot of work and a lot of effort to.
yes. And last year I made a big exhibition in Chicoutimi, my
Okay, yeah, where you live or your hometown.
yes.
In a museum.
And they pay for me out, but now I don't have the taste to.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I'm sure.
And Mark too.
We share a lot of more of the artists like us in this style. I think we have all the same feedback.
So in the town you live, is there an arts community? Are there other artists and?
Oh, it's near from Montreal, here in Saint.
Okay. So
yes.
Okay.
But not for the kind of art that I make. So
right. Yeah.
All the doors are closed.
Yes. No, of course. So you have to go to Montreal or, the bigger cities to show your work. Yeah. Well, then, social media is such a great way to show it. And that's how we both saw it.
Yeah.
And I've been sharing it on Facebook because I'm always so, entranced. So, they're magical for me and I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're mesmerizing and so complicated. Many of them are very complex paintings. I can't imagine how much time must go into an individual piece sometimes. Does it take weeks or months, or do you set it aside and pick it up again?
It's some months, about maybe 100 hours for
wow,
that's a lot. Yeah.
All this painting is about that.
Wow. Those are amazing. Those are amazing.
Yeah, it's very long, but I like that. For me,
it absorbs you. Do you work on one at a time, or maybe several?
It depends. Sometimes, I love to make draw. So it's not too long for me to make a draw.
Right. Yeah.
I made a lot of draw, but for the painting. Most of the time it's one by one, but it depends. Sometimes I go with my wife. Comment je t'accompagne?
You accompany me?
Ouais, tu peux dire ça.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm a writer for children and I go all across Canada.
Okay.
And sometimes I have hotels paid for, so he follows me and he brings his paint and drawings.
Awesome.
So he gets to do little works that are easy to carry on the plane.
Avec de l'acrylique.
With acrylic.
L'acrylic, because it's ça sèche vite.
It dries faster.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
I think change my. It's an interesting with acrylic. I'm not exactly in the same way to paint. I prefer.
Yeah. No, I was noticing that your acrylics are almost more like watercolor.
Right.
And of course, they dry fast. So you can do over top, whereas with oil, you have to kind of modulate and, finish it, and you don't want to mess with it. So,
no, you can't bring oils on a plane.
No.
It just doesn't work.
And on passe 4 mois au chalet durant l'été. We have a cottage in the St. John Lake, and during the summer, I paint with la machine à laver, puis comme the washer
in a little shed.
The washer machine and the dryer. So I made only acrylic of the
That's right. You can transport them and everything.
Great.
Well, we're running out of time. It's been so great to finally meet you and talk to you, both of you. Wonderful.
Yes.
And I'm always excited when I see you post stuff. So keep them coming.
We look forward to seeing all the new posts as they come.
Yeah.
Okay,
you guys, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.